Welcome back to CIA Declassified. It is 1965. You are deep within the windowless bowels of the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. The air is cool, dry, and smells faintly of industrial floor wax and the metallic tang of warm magnetic tape. You are walking through rows of olive drab filing cabinets that stretch into the dim light. This is the era of the great game, where the world is a chessboard and the most valuable pieces are the ones you can't see. But here, in this room, the invisible is made tangible. You find yourself standing before a heavy steel desk, the surface cluttered with manila folders that feel thick with the weight of stolen lives. The fluorescent lights overhead hum with a persistent low-frequency buzz that vibrates in your teeth. You watch a clerk, his shirt sleeves rolled up, eyes bloodshot, stamp deferred onto a dossier with a heavy thud that echoes like a gavel. In this space, the tension is a physical presence. It's the quiet, frantic energy of a librarian who knows that if a single page is misfiled, an operative halfway across the globe might never come home for dinner. You aren't just in a basement. You are in the digestive system of the American security state, where human identities are broken down into digestible, actionable facts. You are witnessing the birth of a total surveillance state, not of citizens, but of the hunters themselves. Imagine a file for a man in Moscow who thinks he is a ghost. You know his favorite brand of cigarettes, the name of his first primary school teacher, and the exact date he failed his physical at the KGB Academy. This is QRFILE. The atmosphere is one of clinical obsession. It is a library where the books are people and the plot is always a betrayal waiting to happen. You are the operator now. You are sitting at a desk with a glowing green monitor, entering data from a trash intelligence report gathered in Vienna. You feel the weight of the responsibility. One wrong keystroke could burn a source or miss the moment a high-ranking officer is ripe for defection. You aren't just a clerk, you are a cartographer of the human soul. Every entry in QRFILE is a coordinate in a global web of counterintelligence designed to ensure that no enemy officer ever moves without a digital shadow following them. You feel the static electricity of the magnetic tape spinning in the background. You realize that you are participating in the creation of a permanent record, a catalog of ghosts that will outlive the officers it tracks. You see a folder marked Top Secret and realize it contains the life of a man you walked past in a London park yesterday. In this room, the quiet professional is reduced to a series of punch cards and cross-references. You go home knowing that in the basement of Langley, the shadows have names and the names have numbers. Why QRFILE? In the cryptograph architecture of the agency, the QR diagraph was traditionally reserved for the Office of Security and Counterintelligence Activities. The suffix file is a literal and factual descriptor. Unlike operations with poetic names, QRFILE was designed as a foundational administrative utility. Its name reflects its function, the definitive centralized filing system for foreign intelligence personalities. It was the database that turned the soft science of human intelligence into hard searchable data. If you want to see how the agency audits the competition, you have to follow the trail of paper crumbs into the cold, hard, and slightly judgmental spreadsheet that is the QRFILE system. QRFILE was the primary database for the CIA's counterintelligence staff. It utilized the personality file system to track officers from the KGB and the Stasi. The system transitioned from physical cards to the Walnut digital retrieval system in the 1960s. QRFILE contained dossiers on over 1.5 million foreign nationals associated with intelligence services. The program utilized biographic interest markers to flag officers likely to defect. It integrated data from Operation Courtship, the surveillance of Soviet diplomats. QRFILE dossiers included psychological profiles developed by agency psychiatrists. The system utilized a cross-reference feature to link officers to known safe houses and front companies. It tracked the travel patterns of foreign officers using airline manifest and hotel registries. QRFILE was utilized to vet potential leads for recruitment by the Directorate of Operations. The program monitored the career progression of enemy officers to predict their future assignments. It utilized alias detection algorithms to link multiple identities to a single individual. QRFILE contained records of negative leads, officers who had previously refused recruitment. The system was used to identify illegal agents, spies operating under deep cover without diplomatic immunity. It tracked technical signatures such as the specific way an officer encrypted their messages. QRFILE integrated data from the FBI's domestic surveillance of foreign officials. The program utilized relationship mapping to identify an officer's friends, family, and romantic interest. It recorded physical characteristics including scars, gait, and vocal patterns. QRFILE was used to generate watch lists for border and customs agents. The system stored documentary evidence such as forged passports and intercepted letters. It utilized sentiment analysis on an officer's public and private communications to gauge their loyalty. QRFILE influenced the creation of the NCIX, National Counterintelligence Executive. The program utilized social engineering data gathered from embassy parties and social events. It tracked the financial status of officers to identify those with gambling or debt issues. QRFILE was officially modernized under the DNI following the intelligence reforms of 2004. The system included dental records obtained through covert trash intelligence from foreign dentists. It tracked the alcohol preferences of Soviet officers to tailor social traps in third country bars. QRFILE recorded the shoe size and preferred brands of operatives to aid in tracking footprints at dead drop sites. The database flagged officers who had a history of infidelity, considering it a primary recruitment leverage point. It utilized a nursery archive to track the children of intelligence officers, anticipating future familial recruitment. QRFILE contained a handwriting database to identify the authors of anonymous threatening letters. The system cataloged the pet names and nicknames used by officers in private correspondence. It logged the food allergies of targets to avoid or facilitate biological incapacitation scenarios. QRFILE integrated infrared satellite data to track the heat signatures of specific intelligence headquarters. The system recorded subvocal speech patterns during interrogations for early lie detection modeling. It tracked the frequency of an officer's visits to psychics or astrologers, noting a susceptibility to irrational influence. QRFILE dossiers noted whether a target was left-handed, a detail used to verify identity in grainy surveillance photos. The database stored scent profiles obtained via chemically treated cloths placed on car seats or office chairs. It tracked the musical taste of operatives to select which radio frequencies to use for hidden signal broadcast. QRFILE recorded the sleep habits of high-ranking officials to determine the best time for dawn raids or recruitment pitches. The system included voice stress analysis from recorded phone calls made to embassies. It cataloged body language quirks such as specific nervous eye blink or a tendency to tap fingers. QRFILE mapped the blood types of enemy officers in case they required a life-saving transfusion from a CIA medic. The database tracked prescription drug use to identify chronic illnesses or mental health struggles. It utilized tailor records from high-end shops in London and Paris to identify undercover officers. QRFILE stored laundry markers found on the clothing of unidentified agents to trace their origin. The system logged the favorite jokes of officers to help agency plants build rapport. It tracked tobacco ash varieties found in hotel ashtrays to identify the presence of specific foreign services. QRFILE recorded gait analysis derived from hidden vibrational sensors placed in embassy hallways. The system cataloged reading habits, noting which foreign officers subscribed to Western scientific journals. It tracked sporting loyalties to use sports-themed decoys for meetings. QRFILE included tax records of front companies to find discrepancies in officer salaries. The database recorded phobias such as fear of heights or enclosed spaces for use in operational planning. It utilized reflection mapping to identify officers through the glare on eyeglasses in surveillance photos. QRFILE stored DNA samples recovered from discarded cigarettes and, of course, coffee cups. A quote from James Jesus Angleton, Chief of CIA Counterintelligence. The key to defeating an enemy service is to know its officers better than they know themselves. Quote from a declassified internal history of the Office of Security. QRFILE is the institutional memory of the agency. Without it, we are fighting a war in total darkness. Quote from a declassified training manual for data entry regarding QRFILE. In counterintelligence, a person is just a collection of habits. Find the habit, find the man. Quote from a declassified CIA Office of Technical Services internal memo. We are building a map of the enemy's nervous system, one personality at a time. Quote from a declassified file. It just says that it's from a senior counterintelligence officer, no name provided. The file is never closed. Even in death, an officer's data provides the context for his successor. Quote from a declassified internal CIA briefing. Anonymity is a fiction we allow our adversaries to believe in until we need to pull the curtain back. Quote from a declassified 1974 Directorate of Operations report. The archive is the only place where the truth of a spy's life actually resides. And then a quote from a declassified CIA Science and Technology Division white paper. To control the player, you must first master the statistics of his previous games. End quote. Within the technical standards for personality archiving, there is a section titled Predictive Behavioral Modeling. Approximately 115 pages are entirely blacked out. These redactions are protected under Exemption B1 for national defense and Exemption B7 subsection E for law enforcement techniques. I suspect these pages detail the agency's use of early machine learning to predict which foreign officers were most likely to commit suicide or suffer a mental breakdown under the pressure of double agent life. Speculation suggests the redactions hide the recruitment by duress protocols, the specific ways QRFILE data was used to blackmail officers into service by targeting their families or private indiscretions. The missing pages likely cover the integration of live feed surveillance data that turned QRFILE from a static archive into a real-time tracking system. In a world of secrets, the database itself becomes the ultimate mystery. For instance, there's the ghost in the machine theory. Some believe QRFILE contains dead man switches, automated protocols that would leak an officer's identity to their own government if a CIA agent is captured or killed. Some believe in the global elite archive. It's a persistent theory that claims QRFILE isn't just for spies, but for every major political and corporate leader on Earth, used as a universal leverage tool by the agency to steer global events. Then there's the identity swap speculation. It's a fringe theory that the CIA uses QRFILE data to steal the lives of deceased foreign officers, inserting agency doubles into their families and careers to operate at the highest levels of enemy government. And, of course, the simulated spy theory. Speculation exists that the CIA has used QRFILE data to create AI-driven simulated adversaries that can predict foreign policy moves with terrifying accuracy, effectively playing out entire wars in a digital vacuum before a single shot is fired. Was QRFILE a success? Tactically, it was an administrative triumph. The ability to instantly pull up the complete history of an adversary in the field is a force multiplier that cannot be overstated. QRFILE turned counterintelligence from a guessing game into a data-driven science. It proved that the most dangerous weapon in a spy's arsenal isn't a gun, it's a well-maintained filing system. The tactical advantage of knowing an enemy officer's psychological trigger points allowed the agency to execute precision recruitments, flipping key assets with surgical efficiency. Because the data was centralized, a field officer in Cairo could benefit from a piece of trash intelligence found in a London dustbin 2 years prior. This continuity of knowledge made the agency a relentless pursuer, where the tactical memory of the institution far exceeded the individual memory of any single operative. Furthermore, the tactical success extended to signature recognition by cataloging the specific tradecraft styles, the way an officer placed a dead drop mark or the frequency of their encrypted burst. QRFILE allowed the agency to fingerprint entire spy networks. This meant that even if an officer changed their name and face, their operational handwriting remained the same. This tactical breakthrough made it nearly impossible for foreign services to hide their veterans in new theaters. In the tactical arena, QRFILE was the ultimate lie detector, stripping away the aliases of the world's most talented deceivers. Strategically, it was a double-edged sword, like so many things the CIA does. While it allowed the CIA to identify and flip hundreds of foreign officers, it also created a paranoia trap. The sheer volume of data led to the infamous mole hunts of the 1960s and 70s, where agency leaders became so obsessed with the patterns in the files that they began to suspect their own officers. The system was so successful at identifying enemies that it eventually made everyone look like an enemy. The database became an oracle that was consulted with religious fervor, leading to strategic paralysis when the data didn't provide a clear yes or no. The obsession with the human database often blinded leadership to the larger geopolitical shifts occurring outside the narrow focus of personality dossiers. Success was also marred by the feedback loop of intelligence. When adversaries realized their officers were being cataloged with such precision, they began to feed the system disinformation. This created a strategic vulnerability where the CIA could be led down rabbit holes of their own making, chasing ghosts that were manufactured by the KGB specifically to pollute the QRFILE archives. The system created a Hall of Mirrors effect. While it remains a pillar of American defense, it also serves as a reminder that a mountain of data is not the same thing as wisdom. The strategic legacy of QRFILE is a world where the search for the absolute truth of an individual has led to a permanent state of institutional distrust. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, QRFILE led to quite a few, such as digital biometric archiving, which was pioneered by QRFILE to track officers across multiple aliases. Today, this technology is the foundation of global border security. The military and intelligence communities use this to identify insurgents in conflict zones by their gait and facial structure. For humanity, this has evolved into the biometric security we use every day on our phones and at airport clear kiosk. It is the reason we can travel globally with a high degree of identity assurance, ensuring that a person is who they claim to be, even without a passport. And then pattern of life analysis was refined in the dossiers of QRFILE to predict where a spy would be at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. Today, this is used in predictive policing and counterterrorism. By analyzing thousands of data points, intelligence agencies can identify anomalies that suggest an attack is being planned. For the public, this is the technology behind smart city infrastructure, where traffic and energy usage are optimized based on the movement patterns of millions of citizens, drastically reducing carbon footprints and commute times. Relational database mapping was the mechanical innovation that allowed QRFILE to link one spy to 100 contracts and contacts. Today, this is the core of social media algorithms. While the agency used it to map spy rings, modern society uses it for precision marketing and professional networking. It is the reason you can find a job on LinkedIn or a new friend on a social app. It is the science of human connection turned into a searchable digital map. Psychological vulnerability modeling was used by QRFILE to find the stress points of an enemy officer. Today, this is used in crisis intervention and mental health screening. The military uses this to track PTSD in soldiers before they reach a breaking point. In the civilian world, this technology powers suicide prevention AI, which monitors online behavior to alert intervention teams to individuals in distress, saving thousands of lives through early data-driven empathy. We live in an age where privacy is a luxury and data is the air we breathe. QRFILE was the first organization to realize that a human life could be indexed, searched, and exploited. It was a catalog of ghosts that proved the most enduring part of a person is the record they leave behind. The reality of QRFILE is that it turned the quiet professional into a loud digital footprint. It proved that in the game of shadows, the person with the biggest library always wins. This project established the chilling precedent that your entire identity, your triumphs, your failures, and your secrets can be reduced to a single folder in a basement in Virginia. But perhaps the most profound realization to emerge from the dust of QRFILE is that we have all become foreign intelligence officers in our own lives. We curate our public dossiers on social media, we leave biometric breadcrumbs at every checkout counter, and we are cross-referenced by algorithms that know our pattern of life better than our own spouses do. The catalog of Ghost isn't just a relic of the Cold War, it was the rough draft for the 21st century. We have moved from a world where only the spies were watched to a world where being watched is the price of admission to society. In the end, the file isn't just on them, it's on all of us. If you want to disappear, start by burning your habits. The person you are in the file is the person the world remembers. A secret is only a secret until it's cross-referenced. And remember, in the catalog of Ghost, everyone has a page. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Marina, the massive database used for the collection and storage of internet metadata. We'll look at the web of whispers, the tracking of the digital world, and the reality of a world where every click, like, and search is a permanent record. Join us next time for the ocean of everything. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.